Question 1. Commercial property insurance. Which of the following best describes the purpose of the coinsurance clause in commercial property insurance policies? A. To limit the insurer's liability based on the value of the insured property at the time of loss. B. To reduce the premium for the insured by increasing the deductible amount. C. To ensure the insurer pays the full replacement cost of a property after any loss. D. To encourage the policyholder to insure the property for a sufficient percentage of its value to avoid a penalty. Answer D. Explanation. The coinsurance clause is a provision in commercial property policies that requires the policyholder to insure the property for at least a specified percentage of its value, typically 80%, 90%, or 100%, to avoid a penalty in the event of a claim. If the policyholder does not meet this requirement, they will only receive a partial payout based on the ratio of the insured value to the actual value. This clause encourages insured parties to carry adequate coverage to fully protect their property. Option A is incorrect because the coinsurance clause relates to the proportion of coverage, not limiting the insurer's liability directly based on the value at the time of loss. Option B is incorrect because the coinsurance clause does not reduce premiums. It ensures adequate coverage for the insured property. Option C is incorrect because the coinsurance clause does not guarantee full replacement costs if the coverage is inadequate. Question 2. Commercial auto insurance. A delivery business operates several trucks used for transporting goods. The company is considering adding an endorsement for hired and non-owned auto coverage to its commercial auto policy. Which of the following would be a primary reason for including this endorsement? A. To cover any damage to the person or vehicle of an employee using their car for business purposes. B. To provide coverage for liability when an employee uses their personal car for business activities. C. To ensure all vehicles owned by the business are fully covered under the policy. D. To provide physical damage coverage for rented vehicles used in business operations. Answer B. Explanation. The hired and non-owned auto coverage endorsement provides liability coverage for employees using their personal vehicles for business purposes. This includes situations where an employee uses their car for business errands such as delivering goods or driving to a client meeting. Option is incorrect because while personal vehicles used for business may be covered, this endorsement specifically addresses liability, not damage to the vehicle itself. Option C is incorrect because it relates to coverage for the company's own vehicles, which is typically covered under the Business Auto Policy BAP. Option D is incorrect because physical damage to rented vehicles would typically be covered under separate rental car insurance policies or under a different endorsement, not under hired and non-owned auto coverage. Question 3. Scenario-based question. Commercial general liability insurance scenario. Mr. Edwards owns a manufacturing company that produces electrical components. One of his employees, while working in the production area, accidentally damages a customer's property during a routine process. The customer files a lawsuit claiming property damage. Mr. Edwards' business has a commercial general liability CGL policy. What would the policy likely cover in this situation? A. The policy would cover the legal defense costs but not the actual property damage. B. The policy would cover both the property damage and the legal defense costs. C. The policy would only cover property damage if the employee was working directly under the supervision of Mr. Edwards at the time. D. The policy would not cover any damages as they are considered a result of an employee's actions during production. Answer B. Explanation. A commercial general liability CGL policy provides coverage for bodily injury and property damage resulting from the business's operations. In this scenario, the policy would likely cover both the property damage to the customer's goods and the legal defense costs for defending the lawsuit. CGL policies typically include coverage for property damage that occurs as a result of accidents caused by the insured's operations, which is what happened in this case. Option A is incorrect because while defense costs are typically covered, the actual property damage would also be covered by the CGL policy under the standard provisions for property damage liability. Option C is incorrect because the employee's actions do not need to be directly supervised by Mr. Edwards for coverage to apply as long as the damage occurred in the course of business operations. Option D is incorrect because CGL policies generally cover damages resulting from business operations, including accidental damage caused by employees during their routine tasks. Question 4. Commercial property insurance. Which of the following is the most significant difference between the special form CP030 and the broad form CP020 in commercial property insurance? A. The special form provides coverage for all risks unless specifically excluded, while the broad form only covers risks that are explicitly stated. B. The broad form covers all risks, but the special form only covers risks that are specifically included in the policy. C. The special form excludes fire and lightning damage, while the broad form does not. D. The special form offers higher coverage limits for business interruption compared to the broad form. Answer A. Explanation. The special form CP030 is a more-risk policy, meaning it provides coverage for all risks except those that are specifically excluded in the policy. The broad form CP020, on the other hand, is a named peril policy which only covers the risks that are explicitly listed in the policy. Therefore, the key difference is that the special form provides broader coverage by including more risks and less excluded. Option B is incorrect because the special form offers broader coverage than the broad form. Option C is incorrect because both forms generally cover fire and lightning, but the distinction lies in the types of perils covered in total. Option D is incorrect because both forms may have similar coverage limits for business interruption depending on the policy details, but the main difference is in the types of covered risks. Question 5. Commercial umbrella and excess liability insurance. Which of the following is a key characteristic that distinguishes excess liability insurance from umbrella liability insurance? A. Excess liability insurance provides broader coverage than umbrella insurance, covering more types of claims. B. Excess liability insurance only covers claims that exceed the limits of an underlying policy, while umbrella insurance may cover gaps in coverage. C. Excess liability insurance covers only bodily injury claims, while umbrella insurance covers both bodily injury and property damage claims. D. Excess liability insurance is typically less expensive because it covers more risks compared to umbrella insurance. Answer B. Explanation. Excess liability insurance provides coverage for claims that exceed the limits of an underlying policy, such as a general liability or auto insurance policy. It does not provide broader coverage, but instead follows the terms of the underlying policy. On the other hand, umbrella liability insurance can provide broader coverage by filling gaps in the underlying policies and covering certain claims that may not be covered by them, such as certain types of lawsuits or liabilities. Option is incorrect because excess liability insurance provides narrower coverage, not broader. Option C is incorrect because both excess and umbrella liability insurance can cover bodily injury and property damage, but umbrella policies may cover a wider range of claims. Option D is incorrect because excess liability insurance is not necessarily less expensive, it covers fewer risks than umbrella insurance. Question 6. Business owner's policy BOP. Which of the following statements about a business owner's policy BOP is accurate? A. A BOP provides only property coverage, not general liability coverage, which must be purchased separately. B. A BOP is specifically designed for large, complex businesses with multiple locations and high risks. C. A BOP offers both property damage and liability coverage in a single policy designed for small to medium-sized businesses. D. A BOP excludes coverage for business income loss if the business is closed due to civil authority orders. Answer C. Explanation. A business owner's policy BOP is a package policy designed for small to medium-sized businesses and typically provides both property damage and general liability coverage. It is a simplified solution for businesses that need both types of coverage but may not have the resources or need for more complex policies. Option is incorrect because a BOP includes both property and liability coverage, which is one of its key benefits. Option B is incorrect because a BOP is not designed for large, complex businesses, which would typically require more specialized and tailored insurance solutions. Option D is incorrect because a BOP often includes business income loss coverage due to civil authority orders subject to certain conditions. Question 7. Workers' compensation insurance. Mr. Miller runs a small manufacturing business in Vermont and has a workers' compensation policy for his employees. One of his workers sustains an injury while on the job. Which of the following best describes the workers' compensation benefits available to the injured worker? A. The injured worker will receive medical benefits, lost wages, and compensation for pain and suffering. B. The injured worker will receive medical benefits, but lost wages and pain and suffering are excluded from coverage. C. The injured worker will receive lost wages and pain and suffering, but medical benefits are excluded. D. The injured worker will receive medical benefits, lost wages, and permanent disability benefits, but pain and suffering are excluded from coverage. Answer D. Explanation. In workers' compensation insurance, workers are entitled to medical benefits for treatment related to the injury as well as compensation for lost wages while they are unable to work due to the injury. Additionally, if the injury results in permanent disability, the worker may be entitled to permanent disability benefits. However, pain and suffering are generally excluded from workers' compensation claims. Option is incorrect because pain and suffering are excluded in workers' compensation claims. Option B is incorrect because workers can also receive lost wages in addition to medical benefits. Option C is incorrect because workers' compensation generally includes both medical benefits and lost wages. Question 8. Risk management and insurance. Which of the following best describes the concept of risk transfer in the context of commercial insurance? A. Risk transfer is the process of identifying risks within a business and applying strategies to avoid them. B. Risk transfer involves shifting the financial responsibility for certain risks to an insurance company through the purchase of coverage. C. Risk transfer is when a business implements measures to reduce the frequency of potential claims and accidents. D. Risk transfer refers to the process of eliminating risks entirely by ceasing business operations that could lead to loss. Answer. B. Explanation. Risk transfer is a risk management strategy where a business shifts the financial responsibility for certain risks to an insurance company by purchasing insurance coverage. This allows the business to protect itself from the financial consequences of risks that may occur. Option is incorrect because identifying and avoiding risks is part of risk avoidance, not risk transfer. Option C is incorrect because reducing the frequency of claims is part of risk control, not transfer. Option D is incorrect because eliminating risks entirely is an extreme measure and falls under risk avoidance. Question 9. Claims handling and loss control. Which of the following is a critical step in the claims handling process that directly affects the insurer's ability to settle claims fairly and accurately? A. The insurer's ability to negotiate premiums with the insured before the loss occurs. B. The insured's ability to demonstrate that they were not responsible for the loss. C. The insurer's process of investigating and documenting the loss before selling the claim. D. The insured's ability to increase their deductible to lower premiums. Answer. C. Explanation. Investigating and documenting the loss is a critical step in the claims handling process. This allows the insurer to determine the extent of the loss, whether the claim is covered, and the appropriate amount of compensation. Proper documentation is essential for ensuring that claims are handled fairly and that any potential fraud is prevented. Option is incorrect because negotiating premiums does not directly impact the claims handling process, which occurs after loss has been reported. Option B is incorrect because the burden of proof for a claim generally lies with the insured to show the extent of the loss and damages, not whether they were responsible. Option D is incorrect because increasing deductibles reduces premiums but does not directly affect the claims handling process. Question 10. Commercial General Liability (CGL) insurance. Which of the following exclusions is most likely to apply under a commercial general liability (CGL) policy regarding employee-related injuries? A. The policy would cover injuries to employees caused by their own negligence during normal work operations. B. The policy would cover injuries to employees if the injury occurs due to a third party's negligence. C. The policy would not cover injuries to employees because workers' compensation is the exclusive remedy for such claims. D. The policy would cover injuries to employees only if the employee has filed a lawsuit against the business. Answer. C. Explanation. A CGL policy typically excludes coverage for employee injuries because workers' compensation is the primary and exclusive remedy for such claims under most state laws. Workers' compensation provides benefits for medical costs, lost wages, and other expenses related to employee injuries. Option is incorrect because CGL policies exclude coverage for injuries to employees in most cases. Option B is incorrect because while third-party injuries may be covered, employee injuries are generally excluded from CGL policies. Option D is incorrect because injuries to employees are generally not covered under CGL policies, regardless of whether a lawsuit is filed. Question 11. Emerging trends in commercial lines insurance. What is one significant impact of climate change on commercial property insurance? A. Increased premiums due to higher frequency and severity of natural disasters like floods and storms. B. Lower premiums due to the reduced risk of weather-related damages in certain regions. C. A decrease in demand for commercial property insurance due to businesses shifting to new, less risky locations. D. A reduction in coverage options as insurers withdraw from high-risk markets completely. Answer A. Explanation. As climate change contributes to the increased frequency and severity of natural disasters such as storms, floods, and wildfires, the risk for commercial property insurers rises. This leads to high premiums for businesses in areas prone to these risks. Option B is incorrect because climate change is generally increasing, not decreasing, the risks associated with property damage. Option C is incorrect because businesses typically do not shift to new locations solely due to climate change, and insurers continue to provide coverage for businesses, although at higher rates. Option D is incorrect because while insurers may adjust coverage options, they typically do not withdraw entirely from markets, but may implement stricter underwriting guidelines. Question 12. Commercial property coverage. Which of the following scenarios would not be covered under a standard commercial property insurance policy? A. Damage to inventory due to a fire. B. Loss of business income due to a flood. C. Loss of income due to a burglary where the thieves took property but caused no physical damage. D. Damage to a building caused by a windstorm. Answer. C. Explanation. A standard commercial property insurance policy typically covers damage to property caused by risks such as fire, windstorm, and theft. However, it does not cover lost income resulting from incidents such as theft without property damage, unless an income loss or business interruption policy is included. Option is incorrect because damage to inventory due to fire is covered. Option B is incorrect because loss of business income due to flood could be covered, but only if a flood insurance policy is purchased. Option D is incorrect because damage from windstorm is typically covered under commercial property policies. Question 13. Business interruption insurance. Which of the following is generally excluded from a business interruption insurance policy? A. Loss of income due to property damage from a covered peril. B. Loss of income due to natural disasters such as earthquakes or floods, if not covered by the underlying property policy. C. Loss of income due to the failure of machinery or equipment. D. Loss of income due to civil unrest or governmental orders preventing business operation. Answer. B. Explanation. Business interruption insurance generally covers income lost when a business cannot operate due to property damage from a covered peril like fire or storm. However, it typically excludes loss of income due to natural disasters such as earthquakes or floods, unless the underlying policy explicitly covers those perils. Option A is incorrect because business interruption insurance covers income loss due to property damage. Option C is incorrect because machinery or equipment breakdowns are generally not covered under business interruption insurance but may be covered under other policies. Option D is incorrect because civil unrest or government orders can be covered under some business interruption policies, depending on the terms. Question 14. Commercial General Liability CGL. Under Commercial General Liability CGL policy, which of the following would not be covered under the personal and advertising injury section? A. False arrest or imprisonment. B. Libel or slander. C. Bodily injury caused by negligence. D. Infringement of copyright or trademark. Answer. C. Explanation. The personal and advertising injury section of a CGL policy generally covers claims related to defamation, false arrest, and similar offences in the realm of personal injury or advertising. However, bodily injury caused by negligence is covered under the bodily injury section of the policy, not the personal injury section. Option A is incorrect because false arrest is included under personal and advertising injury. Option B is incorrect because libel and slander are covered under personal and advertising injury. Option D is incorrect because copyright or trademark infringement is covered under the same section of the CGL policy. Question 15. Workers' compensation. Which of the following is true regarding the payment of benefits under workers' compensation policy? A. Benefits are typically paid to the employee directly for medical expenses and lost wages. B. The employer can reduce the benefits by requiring employees to pay a portion of their medical costs. C. Employees may receive pain and suffering benefits in addition to lost wages and medical coverage. D. Benefits are only paid if the injury was caused by the employer's negligence. Answer A. Explanation. Under workers' compensation policy, benefits are typically paid directly to the employee to cover medical expenses, lost wages, and other necessary expenses resulting from a work-related injury or illness. Workers' compensation is a no-fault system, so the employer is not required to prove negligence for benefits to be paid. Option B is incorrect because the employer is responsible for covering the entire cost of medical treatment under workers' compensation. Option C is incorrect because pain and suffering are generally excluded from workers' compensation claims. Option D is incorrect because workers' compensation benefits are paid regardless of negligence. Question 16. Cyber liability insurance. Which of the following would not typically be covered under cyber liability insurance policy? A. Data breaches exposing customer personal information. B. Loss of income due to system downtime following a cyber attack. C. Legal fees associated with defending against claims arising from a data breach. D. Physical damage to business property caused by a virus or malware. Answer D. Explanation. Cyber liability insurance generally covers costs related to data breaches, legal fees, and income loss due to cyber attacks or system downtime. However, it typically does not cover physical damage to business property, which would be handled under a property insurance policy. Option A is incorrect because data breaches are typically covered. Option B is incorrect because lost income due to system downtime is a common coverage. Option C is incorrect because legal fees arising from a data breach are typically covered. Question 17. Commercial auto insurance. Which of the following would not be covered by a commercial auto insurance policy? A company car is involved in an accident while driving to a client meeting. B. A company vehicle is damaged while parked in the company's parking lot. C. A company vehicle is used for personal errands and involved in an accident. D. A company car is damaged by a hailstorm while parked outside the office. Answer C. Explanation. Commercial auto insurance typically covers vehicles that are used for business purposes. If a company vehicle is used for personal errands, that use would not be covered by the commercial auto policy unless the policy includes endorsements that extend coverage for personal use. Option is incorrect because accidents while driving for business purposes are covered. Option B is incorrect because damage to a company vehicle while parked on business premises is covered. Option D is incorrect because damage due to weather, hailstorm, is typically covered under comprehensive coverage. Question 18. Commercial crime insurance. Which of the following would be excluded under a commercial crime insurance policy? A. Employee theft of company property. B. Forgery of business checks by an employee. C. Theft of business property by a third-party burglar. D. Theft of intellectual property, such as trade secrets. Answer D. Explanation. Commercial crime insurance typically covers crimes such as employee theft, forgery, and third-party burglary, but it does not cover theft of intellectual property such as trade secrets, which would require different types of coverage. Option is incorrect because employee theft is typically covered. Option B is incorrect because forgery is typically covered. Option C is incorrect because third-party theft is generally covered. Question 19. Directors and officers (DO) liability insurance. Which of the following is not typically covered under a directors and officers (DO) liability insurance policy? A. Legal defense costs for board members facing allegations of wrongful acts. B. Damages awarded for breach of fiduciary duties to shareholders. C. Claims made by employees against the company for discrimination. D. Claims made by the company against its officers for fraudulent behavior. Answer D. Explanation. Directors and officers (DO) liability insurance typically covers the legal defense costs and damages resulting from wrongful acts by directors or officers, such as breach of fiduciary duty or claims made by shareholders. However, it does not cover claims made by the company against its directors or officers for fraudulent behavior, as this is considered a form of misconduct not covered under the policy. Option A is incorrect because legal defense costs are typically covered. Option B is incorrect because breach of fiduciary duty is generally covered. Option C is incorrect because claims by employees for discrimination may be covered depending on the policy terms. Question 20. Property coverage extensions. Which of the following is a common extension under a commercial property insurance policy? A. Coverage for off-premises property while being transported. B. Coverage for property owned by others but used by the business. C. Coverage for employees' personal property located at the business location. D. Coverage for personal property in the home of a business owner. Answer B. Explanation. A common coverage extension under a commercial property insurance policy is coverage for property owned by others but used by the business. This extension typically applies to property the business uses but does not own, such as equipment or tools belonging to a client or vendor. Option A is incorrect because property while being transported is typically covered by a separate inland marine insurance policy. Option C is incorrect because employee personal property is generally not covered under a commercial property policy. Option D is incorrect because property in the business owner's home is usually not covered unless specifically added as an endorsement. Question 21. Commercial property insurance. Which of the following is not typically covered under a commercial property insurance policy? A. Fire damage to a business building. B. Theft of property from the business premises during business hours. C. Water damage caused by a burst pipe inside the building. D. Loss of inventory due to damage from an earthquake. Answer D. Explanation. The commercial property insurance policy generally covers fire damage, theft during business hours, and water damage caused by burst pipes. However, earthquake damage is usually excluded unless a specific earthquake endorsement or separate earthquake coverage is purchased. Option A is incorrect because fire damage is covered under commercial property insurance. Option B is incorrect because theft during business hours is covered. Option C is incorrect because water damage from burst pipes is covered unless the damage is due to lack of maintenance. Question 22. Employee dishonesty coverage. Which of the following would not be covered under commercial crime insurance policies? Employee dishonesty coverage. A. Theft of funds by an employee from the company's bank account. B. An employee accepting kickbacks from a vendor for business referrals. C. An employee's intentional destruction of business property. D. Employee theft of company inventory. Answer. C. Explanation. Employee dishonesty coverage typically covers theft, fraud, or dishonesty by employees, including theft of company funds, kickbacks, and inventory. However, intentional destruction of property is not typically covered under employee dishonesty but may fall under other types of insurance like general liability insurance or property insurance. Option is incorrect because employee theft of funds is covered. Option B is incorrect because accepting kickbacks is typically covered as a dishonest act. Option D is incorrect because employee theft of inventory is covered. Question 23. General liability coverage. Which of the following situations would not be covered by a commercial general liability CGL policy? A. A customer slips and falls in a store injuring themselves. B. A business is sued for libel after publishing false statements about a competitor. C. A business is accused of discrimination by an employee. D. A customer's property is damaged while on the premises. Answer. C. Explanation. A commercial general liability CGL policy typically covers bodily injury, property damage, and personal injuries such as defamation. However, it does not cover employment-related claims such as discrimination or wrongful termination. These types of claims would be covered by an employment practices liability insurance policy. Option is incorrect because slip and fall accidents are covered by CGL. Option B is incorrect because libel and slander are covered under personal injury provisions in CGL. Option D is incorrect because damage to a customer's property is covered under CGL. Question 24. Umbrella liability insurance. Which of the following best describes the purpose of umbrella liability insurance? A. To cover losses not covered by the primary liability policy. B. To increase the amount of coverage under commercial property insurance. C. To cover the cost of replacing business property after a loss. D. To cover the loss of income resulting from property damage. Answer A. Explanation. Umbrella liability insurance is designed to provide additional coverage above the limits of underlying policies such as general liability or auto liability. It acts as a secondary layer of protection for losses that exceed the primary coverage limits. Option B is incorrect because umbrella insurance does not increase property coverage. Option C is incorrect because it does not cover property loss, which is handled by property insurance. Option D is incorrect because loss of income is covered under business interruption insurance, not umbrella liability. Question 25. Commercial auto insurance. Under a commercial auto insurance policy, which of the following would be excluded from coverage? A. A company vehicle involved in an accident while on a business trip. B. A company vehicle used by an employee to run a personal errand. C. A company vehicle damaged by hail while parked outside the office. D. A company vehicle involved in a hit-and-run accident during business hours. Answer. B. Explanation. Commercial auto insurance typically covers accidents involving company vehicles used for business purposes. However, personal use of a company vehicle such as running a personal errand is generally excluded unless the policy includes a special endorsement for personal use. Option is incorrect because a business trip is considered a valid business use. Option C is incorrect because damage caused by hail is typically covered under comprehensive coverage. Option D is incorrect because hit-and-run accidents are covered. Question 26. Business income insurance. Which of the following would not be covered under a business income insurance policy? A. Lost income due to fire damage to the business property. B. Lost income due to civil unrest or vandalism. C. Lost income due to damage from a flood. D. Lost income due to a fire at a supplier's location which prevents the business from receiving inventory. Answer. C. Explanation. Business income insurance covers income loss resulting from damage to the business property caused by covered perils. However, losses due to floods are typically excluded unless the business also carries flood insurance. Option is incorrect because income loss due to fire damage is covered. Option B is incorrect because income lost due to civil unrest or vandalism may be covered under a business income policy if the property is damaged. Option D is incorrect because loss of income due to a supplier's fire is typically covered under a business income policy provided the loss is a direct result of the business property damage. Question 27. Business property coverage extensions. Which of the following would not be included in the property coverage extensions of a commercial property insurance policy? A. Coverage for property temporarily off premises while in transit. B. Coverage for debris removal after a covered property loss. C. Coverage for business property located at a rented off-site location. D. Coverage for property owned by others but used by the business. Answer. C. Explanation. On a commercial property insurance policy may include coverage extensions for property in transit, debris removal, and property owned by others but used by the business. It typically does not cover property located at an off-site rented location unless specifically added as an endorsement. Option A is incorrect because property in transit is typically covered. Option B is incorrect because debris removal is often covered as an extension. Option D is incorrect because property owned by others but used by the business is usually covered. Question 20. Directors and officers DO liability. Which of the following would not be typically covered by a directors and officers DO liability insurance policy? A. A director is sued for breach of fiduciary duty to shareholders. B. A board member is accused of violating securities laws. C. A director is sued for causing financial harm to competitors. D. A director is sued for wrongful termination of an employee. Answer. D. Explanation. Directors and officers DO liability insurance covers the personal liability of directors and officers for acts such as breach of fiduciary duty and violations of securities laws. However, it generally does not cover wrongful termination claims, which are usually covered by an employment practices liability insurance policy. Option is incorrect because breach of fiduciary duty is covered. Option B is incorrect because violations of securities laws are typically covered. Option C is incorrect because financial harm to competitors could be covered under DO. Question 29. Environmental liability insurance. Which of the following would be covered under environmental liability insurance policy? A. Cleanup of environmental contamination caused by a business operation. B. Bodily injury claims related to a toxic spill on a company's property. C. Cleanup costs for hazardous waste caused by an employee's negligence. D. All of the above. Answer. D. Explanation. Environmental liability insurance typically covers all the above scenarios, including the cleanup of contamination, bodily injury claims resulting from toxic exposure, and cleanup costs associated with negligence. This insurance helps protect businesses against the financial costs of environmental damage they may cause. Option is incorrect because cleanup of contamination caused by business operations is covered. Option B is incorrect because bodily injury claims related to toxic spills are covered. Option C is incorrect because cleanup costs due to employee negligence are typically covered. Question 30. Professional liability insurance. Which of the following is typically excluded from a professional liability insurance policy? A. Claims for negligence by a lawyer in providing legal advice. B. Claims for mistakes made by an accountant during financial audits. C. Claims for bodily injury caused by professional negligence. D. Claims for failure to deliver contracted services. Answer. C. Explanation. Professional liability insurance, also known as errors and omissions insurance, typically covers claims related to professional negligence or failure to provide services correctly. However, it does not cover bodily injury resulting from professional mistakes, which would be covered under a general liability insurance policy. Option A is incorrect because negligence by a lawyer is covered under professional liability. Option B is incorrect because mistakes by an accountant are covered under professional liability. Option D is incorrect because failure to deliver services is typically covered.